Our next talk is another one of the super interesting case studies that we wanted to share with you today. And it is about the book Decoded, which was recently released by Jay-Z, in the effort to gamify this book called American Gamester. Our presenter is Demetri Detsaridis. Demetri is the general manager and executive producer at Decode, who Decode is a design firm that's well known for working on a number of really interesting game and gamification projects. It's also one of the toughest companies to find in Google when you're looking for them, because when you search on area code in Google, you tend to find a lot of other data. Maybe Bing would work better. We'll definitely give that a try, actually, later on. So Demetri's credits include the landmark Facebook game Parking Wars, which, of course, I was addicted to, as were millions of my friends, the iPhone game Drop 7, CSI Crime City. And prior to that, Demetri was creative director and co-founder at Massively Mobile and a game designer at Gameloft. And we're very, very interested to hear how you gamify a book, right? As an author of books, I'm personally really interested in hearing how this can be done, how it can be done well. So, Demetri.
Thanks, Gabe. Yeah, he's totally right about the area code thing. Actually, we answer the phone area code, and a lot of the time you'll get, somebody will pick up area code 415. That's not a question. So this is a case study of gamifying Decoded, the launch of Decoded. Specifically because the book is a book, but the book launch is the thing that we sort of gamified here, and I'll talk about it in a bunch of different sections. So here we go. So in case you live in a cave, Jay-Z is a big megastar. And he sort of is famous, along with a bunch of other hip-hop guys, for being this sort of one-man brand, if you will. He's everywhere. He does clothes. He does, he owns restaurants and nightclubs in the New York, or the soon-to-be Brooklyn, but currently New Jersey Nets. He's a recording artist to the tune of 10 Grammys and at least 8x platinum the last time I checked. And in 2010 alone, he made $63 million off of his albums, his tours, his clothes, his real estate investments, the Spotted Pig, which he co-owns with Mario Batali and a couple of other people in New York. So he's got his fingers in a lot of different pies. His memoirs and a sort of lyrics explanation collection is what Decoded is, and there were a few different objectives that they had here. Random House had for selling this book. One is, you can see this is not it's not a quick cash in. It's a book that has a baffling Andy Warhol print on the front. The word Jay-Z is minuscule up in the left-hand corner. This is a crossover book, and it's a coffee table book that costs $40. This is not for the casual fan. This is for someone who is being told to appreciate Jay-Z as art, or already appreciates Jay-Z as art. So there's an interesting set of messages that come along with the launch of this book. Decoded, obviously, the goal with this was to sell a lot of books, to sell so many books that the tagline at the ad agency was, "We want this to be the biggest book launch of all time." So they had a big campaign, and the idea was, again, bringing Jay-Z the brand along with Jay-Z the author to the attention of a lot of people who hadn't already known about him. Droga 5 is the ad agency that we worked with here, and one of the ways that Decode gets work is by working with advertising agencies and other digital agencies. And these guys, they're sort of famous for doing viral stuff. If you saw Stay Free, which is this a guy sneaks out onto an airfield and spray paints "Stay Free" on the side of Air Force One, and it turns out it was Mark Echo, and it turns out it was fake. But you all still watched it, and so that's Droga 5. The Great Schlep, Sarah Silverman talking about how Jews should vote for Obama. That was another one of their jobs. And these guys are, they got stacks of awards, and they're the world's most exciting advertising agency. And once again, I don't know where Neil is, but there he is, Bing. So Bing was the project sponsor, and this is the Microsoft search engine. You already know tons about Bing. And the idea here, as it turned out, or as at least, you can probably speak a little bit better to this, but as Droga 5 explained it to us, was that Bing has a target that they want to improve their performance in, and in this case, it was the 18 to 24s, African Americans and hip hop fans, and this demo is already consuming more search pages than the average web surfer, and Bing wants to own that demo. And how do you do it? The answer is obvious to anyone's here, but why do you do that? Okay, so fine. We said we want to get 18 to 24s. We said we want to get African Americans. We said we want to get a young, hip audience. That's the game generation demographic. Those are the people that are already playing games and that aren't going to think a game, that's weird. So engagement is the buzzword of the day. I guess that would be the #1 Twitter hit. So this, Bing wants, along with everybody else, people to spend time and energy thinking about the product, and Random House does too, and not just seeing an ad and being like, oh, Jay-Z, a book, okay. And in this instance, you'll hear me say spectacle a bunch of times. The objective was very much creating a spectacle, and to the point where the idea was, let's get the ads, the game becomes a story, and that in turn is marketing in and of itself. And then, of course, this is overlooked a lot of the time, and we all standing here right now may be blowing this at this very moment, but games are cool. Jay-Z is cool. Cool is infectious. This is what you want to bring. Maybe next year something else is cool, and we're not cool anymore. But for October 2010, this was where you wanted it. This is how you wanted to do it. So, Area Code. I'm to say a tiny little bit about Area Code. So, Area Code is has a pretentious manifesto. Area Code has done a lot of different things that Gabe mentioned, and one of the things that we do kind of know how to do is do games with spectacle in them, and like 20-foot high inflatable monsters and taking over downtown Minneapolis and stuff like that. This game was called Conquest. It was a few years ago. We've done tons of stuff since then, but and I won't blab on too much about this, but we work with a lot of different clients, and wow, that green was totally the same on my computer. And we had also actually worked with Droga 5 before. So to answer someone's question who was asking me this, a long time ago, is, hey, where do they find a company? How do you find a gamification company? Well, it's hard, right? And I guess it'll be less hard after today, but one of the ways to do it is to have worked with them on some other non-gamification project and developed a rapport. So we had worked with Droga 5, and they were like, oh, these guys are thoughtful. Let's bring them back in. So we kind of have a methodology that is somewhat similar to what a lot of people were talking about here, but different from what a lot of people talk about when you say gamification. Like for us, it's all about game design. Game design drives the process. We start every project by even figuring out whether you're supposed to be making a game. Area Code is lucky in the fact that we've had enough work, we've had enough success over the last few years that if we don't think that a game is the right idea, we will not take your job and we will not waste your money, because there's a lot of situations in which gamifying is wrong. And no to whoever asked before, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I wanted to, but yeah, there's tons of them. Like you shouldn't gamify certain things or it's going to break. So we'll turn it down. If the game is the right idea, we look at the players. Who do we want? Who does the client want? Who's supposed to be playing this game? And what kind of games do they like? What can we get them to do? What can they be interested in? And then, very importantly, perhaps most importantly, what type of engagement is it that we're trying to produce? Or, are we doing light, frequent engagement, like a check-in style thing? Is it deep and compulsive engagement, a la a Zynga game, where you're coming back for an hour, for 2 hours every night? This is one of the most important choices you will make, because one size does not fit all. And on an earlier panel, somebody said, well, what about the third-party solutions? Great for technology, I think. A third-party like gamification middleware, terrific, but lousy for design. Someone has to design gamification. If they don't, it's a formal system. It's not game anything. There's no game design there. It's not a game. A lot of things are formal systems. So Decoded came to us already with a conceit, courtesy of Jay-Z, and a sponsor, Bing, already there. So Jay-Z said, I want to give away the book to my biggest fans. And Random House was like, wait. You don't want to give. No, you can't. That's how we make money. But no, so he wanted to do that, and Droga5 was like, all right, fine. Let's call those guys from the Puma thing to figure out how we do that. And they also sort of said, well, our technology partner on this is Bing, and they're paying for it, so make a game with Bing and Pages. And so we kind of, tried to figure out how to get all of these ingredients into a game, and once we figured out, oh yeah, that's right, a game is a good idea here. And really importantly, one of the biggest design challenges, and I'll throw back to this later, is there are going to be a lot of people who are playing this game all over the country and all over the world. And the central conceit here was like, hey, we're going to spread out the pages of Jay-Z's book, and we're going to hide them in plain sight all over the country, and as much as, to whatever extent we can, all over the world. Well, you can do that, but what about the people that are playing your game, in Seattle, and 9/10 of the pages are like around New York? They have to have something to do. It has to be fun for them. So that's kind of the big design challenge, and that was where we started out. We were supposed to take a month to do this, and by the end, we're supposed to hand it off and like, here's a kit, go nuts, build it. We started out with a really complex design, but the most important thing, and this is very different from the way you do, a traditional AAA console title, like. The vertical slice model does not work in this type of a situation, right? You can't focus on the polish right away. No matter how much clients like graphics, which is really important in the game industry, you have to solve the key problems right away. And it sounds moronic, but believe me, people forget. Decoded is in essence a collaborative scavenger hunt, right? So what happened is we placed pages all over the country to whatever extent we can, and we sort of hide them both on Bing Maps and, like I said, in plain sight on the real world. I'll do a slide in a second that shows a little bit more about this, but it's people find them online, then they find them in the real world, and then they're found, and they complete parts of a book that you can see on the Decoded website. This is a puzzle, and it's arguable whether a puzzle is a game. A puzzle is more brittle than a game. Once it's solved, it's done. You can't play it again. There's no replayability. But this is the kind of thing that you needed for the project. Something that people were going to hammer at. People were going to use Bing to do over and over and over again. And you'll hear me say this again later too. The important thing, as Neil said before, is to get in the habit. To break your habit of using Google, to get the people that we're targeting into the habit of using Bing. And the way to do that is to have them do that sort of light, repetitive, rather than the deep, compulsive version of engagement. So what did we actually do? Bing is the platform for the game. We put 320 was too many. That's how many pages long the book is. We did 2-page spreads. We put them in a customized version of Bing Maps. Clicking on the icons gives you a clue, and which is essentially a Jay-Z trivia question. You search Bing for the answer. Then correct answer brings you to Street Side, which is sort of the Bing version of Street View, and then that reveals the locations of the real-world pages, and the first player to find the pages gets a shout-out on the site, and then essentially tells people where those pages are. Sometimes they're your friends, sometimes it's a street team. One lady even actually hired 7 people to go around and find them, and then the people in real life find it, they see the poster, they see the page, they upload the code, they send an SMS or they take a picture, the code goes to the website, their name goes up on the website, and the winner gets a golden ticket to every single Jay-Z concert so long as they both shall live. So this is kind of what the site looked like. It's a very hip and stylish thing, but it's a map, right? And that is what you play a scavenger hunt on. You can see a few of the page icons scattered throughout it, and that is Jay-Z's home of Brooklyn. Much respect. So unlike a lot of our games, this was, as I said before, replayability was not a concern here. This is about spectacle and replayability and spectacle do not mix. You can't be surprised and stunned and shocked and awed by the same thing 150 times. World of Warcraft does it as well as you possibly could, to go to Jane's point, like, wow, you see that the first time, it doesn't mean you never want to do it again. We erred on the side of wow, not World of... Okay. So whether a game needs to be replayable is one of the very, very important things, along with type of engagement and the other stuff that's like highlighted in black. So where these... where the pages were hidden actually wound up being most of the fun of the game for a lot of the players, these folks that were far away from New York. So you see stuff like we wrapped a page around a hamburger at a cheeseburger shop, and the code is on there, and this kind of creative and inventive stuff was a lot of fun for us because we got to we got to tell Droga 5 and Bing, oh, this is what we want to do, and they're like, okay, sounds good. And somehow they did it. So, for example, taking over a giant set of monster billboards in Times Square. This is very easy to find. These are the first pages of the book, and this sucks you in, obviously. And I think you'll see, it was like within 2 minutes of the game's launch, somebody was like, oh, I know where that is. Nadia J., who is the person that subsequently hired a team of people to go around and solve these things so that she could get the lifetime pass. Here, you can't really see this all that well, which is a shame because it's rad. There's a punching bag at Gleason's gym that has a page printed on that. This is the Spotted Pig, one of Jay-Z's restaurants, and you can see there's a 2-page spread printed on the back of a mirror. This is a New Jersey Nets game, and there's a giant banner with a 2-page spread hanging there. On the left, the Delano in South Beach, there's a page on the bottom of the swimming pool. We printed a page there. On the right, we replaced all of the flatware at a restaurant and all of the plates with Decode Jay-Z with Bing plates. In a bar in Brooklyn. We snuck one into the jukebox. There's a bunch of these. They're all kind of fun. This is a tube stop in London that has a giant just piece of out of home. There's a pizza shop, his favorite pizza place in downtown Brooklyn. We did up a few hundred pizza boxes that had pages on them. On the left, a pool table from his favorite pool hall. On the right, a billboard in Red Hook, a Brooklyn neighborhood. And this one was crazy. So we'd say, okay, here's what we want to do. We want to get one of the pages printed on silk and sewn into the lining of a one-of-a-kind Gucci jacket. And the guys at Droga 5 are like, Gucci jacket sewn in. Yeah, and so they made it, right? It cost like $30,000. But you can buy this thing. This is a real object. And it has a page, and, I guess Nadia J. probably went and found it. So this, wow, you can't really see at all from here, at least. We printed a giant book spread on the top of a building in New Orleans. You'd only really see this one from a helicopter or from the satellite view in Bing. And then on the back of Jay-Z's fake basketball jersey, at the 40/40 Club. This is my personal favorite. And you see this here in the book layout. So like someone found this, and this is how it shows up on the website. This is printed all over a 1984 Cadillac Seville in front of a mural of Run DMC in Queens. And so by the time the promo ended, we had them all out there. And the response was really, really good. You'd reveal, like, we would flip on 5 of these things, and they would, within 5 minutes, the ones that were found online would be found in real life. So people would text their friends, go out, it's in Queens, or they would run out themselves, or who knows, maybe they just found them while, after the guy just pulled down the sheet, someone was like, what is that? It worked for us. This is a really expensive way to gamify something. However, I hope you'll agree, doing stuff like that really blows the lid off. I mean, if you do have a lot of money, take it out into the world. This kind of harks back to the location-based thing we were talking about this morning, but, make a big splash. So how did we do? Forbes gave us a top 10 ad ideas. New York Times ran a feature. Creativity ran a feature, top 10. Advertising Age, coolest out-of-home ideas. Fast Company ran a feature. You sort of get the idea here. We were number 1 of 2010 according to Creativity. So it's a hit. It was Bing's most effective marketing program to date, and that's what they told us when we asked. So, intent to use is up 20% for young urban males, which is our, so it's a 20% uptick in the market that they told us to hit, and that's a metric we care about. As you can see by all of those ad age things and stuff, the buzz was bananas. People loved talking about it, and importantly, Decoded itself came out at number 3 behind the Bush book, and who knew that was going to happen? So regardless of any of those awards or whatnot, the goal of the project was to chip away a little bit at Google, as Neil was saying before, by picking sort of one segment, any segment really, and having people sort of decide to use Bing for certain specific things. Show off the features first, and get people embedded in the system. And in this case, it was that demo that we talked about, and it worked for 20% more people. So and even the pizza place got like a ton of of more folks coming into it, because there are millions of hits on this website, and they know that in that pizza place is a Jay-Z pizza box. So a lot of people did well, and a lot of the stuff, the placements that you saw there actually were in kind rather than paid. So I can't say about Gucci, but like the pizza guys, for example. So happy clients, happy sponsors, and happy players. What more could you ask for? Anybody have any questions? Like, we have about 8 minutes. Yeah, so do we know how many actual units were moved? So I was told by a bunch of the people that gave me all these statistics not to say any of them, and I was like, well, why did you give them to me? But what I am allowed to say is, really well. They exceeded expectations. So that's apparently true. Sorry.
Are you allowed to give us the number we're all curious about? What was the final price tag for this campaign?
Oh, I can't say that, but I will say one thing that is kind of cool about that number. It is almost exactly the same as the number that there's a service in advertising that like tracks what the amount of free advertising you got from all the media coverages. That was almost exactly the same. So we got as much coverage of the thing as we spent, but it's a lot.
Can I have 20 more questions? Oh, I was going to ask for 20 more questions and try to get to the number. Was it larger than 5 million? No, we won't do it.
I don't know. No, I do know. I can't say. Sorry.
All right, but if you don't mind, I'll try it in a slightly different tack. Looking back at this, could you have done it more cheaply and had the same impact? And is there some learning that you could share with us about doing something as fabulous as this, but not maybe spending Let's throw a number, $10 million.
Yeah. So I can sort of answer that question. Could we have done it more cheaply? Absolutely. We've done jobs, that range from, nothing pro bono. I mean, we did another gamification job for Yossi.tv, and that we did pro bono. And the difference is, could we have done it as effectively? No. No. This is, and I don't want to start a debate about this, but this is advertising. And you spend money, you get eyeballs. And a lot of gamification is not, but this was. So the more money you spend, the more people you get in this type of instance. Thank you.